Welcome. This is the January 19th meeting of the Wallingford Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to start the meeting by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's decisions will be published in the Record Journal on Friday, January 21st, 2022. The effective date of your variance will be Friday, January 21st, 2022. The date a certified copy is recorded on the land records. The statutory 15-day appeal period will expire on Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. If you commence operations and/or construction during the appeal period, you do so at your own risk. Voting tonight is Bruce Conroy, Tom Wolfer, Lou Sherwinski, Ray Rise, and myself, Joe Russick. We have three applications that are not being heard tonight. 21-029 for 1340 Warwin Hill Road, 22-003 for 195 Hall Avenue, and 22-007 for the Housing Authority at 2 Wharton Brook Drive. Those are all being continued till heard next month. So if anybody's here for that, we're not going to be hearing them. Okay, first variance request we're going to hear tonight is 22-001 for 1074 South Colony Road. Mr. Secretary, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to application 22-001, South Colony 1074 LLC at 1074 South Colony Road, applicant seeks variance to permit new building orientated and with primary entrance perpendicular to Route 5, South Colony Road, where orientation/primary entrance is required to be facing and parallel to a throughfare, in parentheses, Route 5, South Colony Road, end parentheses, at 1074 South Colony Road in a CB40 district. Section 6.33 of the Wallingford zoning regulation states the front, including primary entrance of any building to be built on property abutting a road designated as a throughfare shall be orientated to run parallel to the lot frontage and not be blocked by any other walls or portion of a building. Although this is a parcel with numerous existing buildings, construction of an additional building must also comply with this regulation. Applicant will be proceeding to the Planning and Zoning Commission for site plan approval following ZBA determination. We also have correspondence from Attorney Jim Laughlin, dated November 5th, 2021, as well as what looks like a site plan dated November 5th, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Jim Laughlin, a lawyer here in town. My office is on North Main.
Want to pull the microphone close to you?
Certainly. Thank you. Jim Laughlin, my office is on North Main Street here in town. On behalf of CubeSmart, 1074 South Colony. Mr. Chairman, I apologize. A late filing, it bounced back for some reason or another, so Amy didn't get it. That is a rendering of the amount of impervious surface that will be removed from the property. Net some 17,000 square feet. A bunch of it is all to the north, on the upper left-hand corner, behind the purple line is within the regulated area under the Inland Wetland and Watercourses regulations. So we will be preserving an asset, a resource, which is another grounds for a variance. The proposed project is new state-of-the-art CubeSmart self-storage where the Zandri Stillwood Inn used to be. Back in the day, of course, we all went there and had a great time and grew up there. The next step in the future of this piece of property is equally as attractive, equally as successful with this nationwide brand. Coming in, demolishing, removing many of the buildings that are within the regulated area, pulling completely out of the regulated area, renovating the existing structures, particularly the main one out in front that's close to Route 5 that's there where we used to go have our pasta, as well as in back some 200 feet, there's going to be a new structure with a 30,000 square foot footprint, 3 stories, making it some 90,000 square feet. Air conditioned, gated, well protected, good traffic flow. Traffic impact will actually be reduced because you can remember the number of cars that used to go in and out of there all the time when it was a catering facility. This will be dribs and drabs when people go in to put in and retrieve their self-storage materials. Housekeeping. The regulation we're asking to be varied from is section 6.33, well described in the correspondence. It requires that the main entrance face Route 5, and that also any new structures be built so that the front edge runs parallel to Route 5. That regulation is inapposite. It doesn't really work in this case for our new structure, the 3-story, 90-square-foot building, because that building is 200 feet back behind a neighboring property. You'll also remember where the catering facility used to be. That is going to remain. It's going to be fully renovated. There's an entrance there. But this other entrance in the back building will be set back 200 feet. We also ask that the main entrance be allowed to be on the side facing south as opposed to on the front facing Route 5 so that parking spaces will be more readily accessible to the front entrance. If it were here as opposed to over here, all spaces would have a harder time getting to the front entrance, including the handicap spaces. We submitted our application. It includes a survey, renderings, all sorts of bells and whistles in the survey. We provided notice to the abutters that's also in the file, and all other restrictions, use restrictions and bulk restrictions have been satisfied. Grounds for the variance. There are 2. One is your old-fashioned hardship. Because of the layout of the property, the boundary here and the boundary in the back makes for a better alignment with the building here, allowing for extra parking spaces here toward Route 5, facing on the westerly portion of the property, and more parking spaces here to the south where the main entrance would be or will be. That peculiar shape of our property makes this regulation unworkable for us, for anybody who were to own it, because we wouldn't have as many parking spaces, and it would be more difficult for customers, including handicap spaces, to get to the front. So that's your hardship peculiar to this property based on the property itself and the shape of the property. 200 feet back, it's inapposite. The layout makes for better parking and better handicap parking spaces the way we have it. Hence, one reason for a variance. Another ground for a variance is sort of like we talked about when I was here on behalf of the Cancer Center up at the corner of Route 68 and I-91. When you preserve a resource, that's grounds for a variance. You remember when we were talking about the Cancer Center, we were preserving the aquifer, the watershed, as a result of eliminating impervious surface up there. You may also remember a lawsuit that I talked about that at that time coming out of New Canaan, where historic architecture was a resource that wanted to be preserved. So the applicant proposed going this way instead of this way under the regulation. And because it was preserving the architectural integrity, the historic architecture of this one structure, that was grounds for variance that was held up on judicial review. The resource that we're preserving here is Wharton Brook and the regulated area surrounding that, the wetlands area. Roof water off of the existing structure will be redirected so that it will be infiltrated better before that water lands in Wharton Brook. In addition, there's a vegetated area that will be improved, that will be restored, along with pulling back outside of the regulated area. This vegetated area being restored will provide for better water infiltration before the stormwater infiltrates into the ground and leaches into the Wharton Brook. That preservation of a resource, all by itself, is grounds for a resource that has been held up on judicial review in the Connecticut courts. So, what a great improvement for Route 5. There's also 2 reasons why you can grant the application for this variance. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you. So, yes and no on your hardship. What buildings are you guys taking down to go from taking buildings down to adding 30,000 square foot footprint?
If you look at the exhibit that I submitted tonight, to the east and slightly south of that purple line is the impervious surface that will be pulled out and torn down. There are also structures in that. You can see to the river side of that purple line, you can see some structures that will be torn down. And that's the impervious surface inside the regulated area that will be removed from the regulated area, along with the better infiltration as a result of redirected roof water and an improved vegetated area.
Now, you're taking the 2 houses that are there down, correct? Where you're proposing that building, there used to be 2 homes. I don't know if they're still there.
I don't have a question, I don't have an answer to that, but all improvements will be outside of the regulated area and within the setback.
You're not taking anything else down to do this. I mean, I realize you're here for the door, for the front door, but what I'm looking at is to what you're trying to do. I'm looking to minus, you know, pluses and minuses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Anybody got any questions? Mr. Wolfer?
Jim, what is the height of the building?
I don't have that answer, Mr. Wolfer, I apologize.
That's okay.
3 stories, so you're going to figure it's going to be, what, 30 feet?
30 feet? Okay. Thank you.
It is within the restrictions.
Zoning regulations.
Yeah, it's within the zoning.
Building from,
Right.
Lou?
Thank you. Just to make sure I understand this correctly, so the dark line or the purple line on the drawing submitted this evening, basically everything looking at the drawing above that line that's shaded in, that's impervious?
Correct.
And so that's going to all be removed to bring it back to its natural state?
Correct.
Okay. And then that line crosses across one of the storage buildings, and then there's the dotted line that goes across all those. Are those buildings staying or going?
Those buildings are staying. They'll be renovated.
Okay. Including the one where the line goes over initially?
Correct.
Okay.
That dotted line is the perimeter of the regulated area under the wetlands regulations.
Okay, so those buildings will still be within the wetlands area?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Amy, what's your take on this?
This application is only
Or
for,
the front door?
The door.
I know that.
the rest will be handled, meeting the regulations for building coverage, setbacks, wetlands beyond this evening and the determination of the ZBA. The intent of this regulation, which is first time I've come across it, being varied in my tenure, was just to not have the rear of a building
Facing.
along, so this is perpendicular. If the hardship's been demonstrated to you all based on only the entrance location, then that's the extent of the purview of the Zoning Board of Appeals this evening.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just, I'm surprised. What I see here is preserving a resource, building up this portion of Route 5. So I'm surprised at your response. So could I just make sure the words came out of my mouth correctly?
No, you did. No, you did. I'm looking at a piece of property that, when I read your piece of paper that came with your explanation of what you're proposing, and I know you're not here for that, but I looked at it, and when I started looking at the plan and everything, and I'm saying, oh, what they're going to do, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, they're going to tear down the Stillwood, and they're going to add this building. And I'm like, well, that's going to kind of, make a little bit more room on the property, take less of all the buildings that are on that property, and kind of straighten out some of it. And then I look at the plan a little closer, and that's not what it's to be. But I do understand you're here for the front door, so I'm not going to go any further.
Thank you very much.
Just like I said, I was hoping to see something different. But anyways, so anybody else got any questions? Is anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody here to speak against this application? Hearing none, seeing none. Do you have anything further you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and open up for discussion and possible action by the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve number 22-001, South Colony, 1074 LLC.
I'll second it.
A point of order,
Yes.
would
Lou,
we amend our
Lou,
motion
you want to,
thoroughly?
can we just take back this and start over again, and want to read the whole?
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to approve 22-001, 1074 South Colony Road, variance request for primary entrance, building orientation to be perpendicular to the street frontage where facing and parallel to street frontage is required to construct a new commercial building, in parentheses, self-storage facility at 1074 South Colony Road as shown on limited property / boundary survey, improvement location survey, land of Zandri Stillwood Inn, LLC, 1074 South Colony Road, dated November 3rd, 2021, and submitted plans / renderings received 11/5/2021.
I second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Conroy,
Yes.
Mr. Wolfer,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Rice,
Yes to approve.
Mr. Shawinski,
Yes to approve.
and Chairman Russick.
Yes, your
Thanks.
application.
Thanks very much for your time.
The next variance request is for 22-002, a special exception request for GAC Home at 1234 Scard Road. Mr. Secretary, do you have any correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to application number 22-002 for 1238 Scard Road, applicant requests special exception approval for 1,300 square feet of garage area to erect a 1,080 square foot detached garage at 1238 Scard Road in a RU 120 district. Applicant would not require special exception approval for a plus or minus 1,100 square foot of total garage area. This office has received no elevations, building plans, or renderings to discern building height. Maximum building height for detached garage is 15 feet. The board should condition any approval on building plans complying with height maximum requirement and to permit no dormers. Plans and roof lines / pitch should be made clear as any dormers and the like alter the height measurements. Proposed location is in compliance with accessory buildings / detached garage requirements. Looks like we have plans submitted, one dated November 12th, 2021, and January 13th, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record. Pull the microphone up close to you. There you go.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is James Gackholm, my wife Allison Gackholm. We live at 1238 Scard Road. We're here tonight because a couple years ago, my father-in-law purchased this property as a potential flip property. The plan originally was to, figure out how to knock the place down, because it was I don't know if you guys know the property, it was pretty decrepit and falling down at the time. It was built in the 1950s, a very modern looking home, one story, one pitch, flat roof, no basement, no attic. The garage space, currently right now, if you were to pull our SUV in there with kids and dogs and everything else, you wouldn't be able to get the doors open. So what we would like to try and do is build a garage that we could put cars in, we could have storage space in, seeing as that we don't have any attic space or basement space at all. And frankly, we could use more closet space in that house too. Everyone else in the family wanted to build bigger, but my wife is sentimental and wanted to keep the place as is and really just restore it to its original form, which we believe we did. We just need more space is all it really comes down to. So we've talked with Amy and everyone in town, trying to do everything that we're supposed to do to get approved for this. So if you have any questions, we'll answer them the best we can.
Looks like a very nice garage. So it's going to be a two-bay garage is what you're planning on doing?
Yeah, so 2 bays, and then we're gonna have a door, like a man door. It's a big project, it's like almost 3 acres, so we need space for 2 cars, lawnmower, et cetera, et cetera. The second floor, obviously, we've been made aware of, and our builder actually built the same garage right next door to us. And so he's very aware of the height requirements. We thought we would be able to get a dormer. I spoke with Amy last week. The dormer obviously is out because that changes the height. So we have switched everything over to try and do small decorative dog houses to add light to the second floor. The second floor mainly going to be for storage space for all of our stuff. That's really all that it's not something that we're not trying to rent to other people or anything like that. It's not.
Right, you realize
it's not a living space.
you can't make it an apartment up there.
Yeah, there's no apartment
Realize
going up there. There's no sewer out there. There's no, if anything, there's going to be, when we did redo the house, we ran a line out there so we could, in the future, if we wanted to, we could put like a hose for, a spigot, and obviously for electricity. But that's about as far as we went with it so far. So there's no plans for sewer or anything like that.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody got any questions for the applicant? Lou? Karen? Lou, go ahead.
Hi. So when you mentioned the second floor, by the second floor you mean just like a storage space, right? Because you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to have a whole second floor on it meeting the 15-foot
No.
requirement, right?
No, I mean, like, I wish I could like show you like a video of our home. We have no place to put anything. Like if you have to storage a Christmas tree, if you have, I'm telling you right now, there's no place for anything, and that's why we need some structure to put all of our stuff, because my mother-in-law is gonna lose her mind if we have to put more stuff in her house.
Thank you. Amy, quick question. So how does that work so you have the 15-foot max height requirement, right? And it looks like on the drawing that the garage height is,
19 feet.
well, yeah, that's with the dormer, but if you don't have the dormer, it's saying 11.6. Is that correct?
No. It's 19.6 to the peak,
Yeah.
but you only got to be midway for 15 feet. So they
Right.
come in with the 15 feet.
Oh, okay. All right. So there's no issue with there being a second floor,
Go ahead, Amy.
is what I'm asking.
No dormers. This plan shows dormers.
Right.
That
but-
changes it because now the peak and the eave change. So the midpoint changes.
But to be clear, the dormer is the dotted line that.
Correct.
they're
And that,
at.
again, we'll condition that
And-
as an
and he-
approval. Okay, we can't.
Right, no
We're,
dormer.
when we're approving a special exception or a variance, we're approving the plan submitted. You can't change them later and add a doghouse. This is what you're submitting. So, to be understood, which is precisely why when you read the motions, it's based on the exact locations as per survey submitted and plans as per, other than windows being located somewhere else or something aesthetic, that doesn't matter. But these were the plans that came in after the comments. And they did show a potential dormer, which is not a doghouse. So I would recommend
So,
we stay to that.
right, quick question then. The dotted line dormer that's shown on this,
Correct, yes?
that's a dormer in my eyes.
And it's not a doghouse.
That's not a doghouse. The doghouse ones that they're showing on the front drawing, that's okay.
For aesthetic purposes, not adding living space, so certainly a 3-foot window box would be permissible,
Okay, so, all right.
but not a full dormer, nothing beyond that adds living space because you're actually adding vertical.
Right.
So can we approve, can we make an approval with those conditions that the dormer is to not exist? And how would we do that?
I'm not
Putting
seeing,
in the 3-foot windows?
It's in. It's in there.
Okay.
You look at the motion.
Mr. Chairman, may I please?
Yes, go ahead.
So our builder is like a one-man shop, him and his father. His father does all the drawings by hand. When we talked to him about a price and potentially building this place, they require a good amount of money up front because they're a small shop. So we had to pay them a good amount of money just to get these prints. We got these prints in time, not knowing that the dormer would change the height.
Okay.
We have no intentions of building a dormer on this place. We have family businesses in town. We're not the type of people that are gonna try and go around anything and.
Yep, no, I
You know what I
understand.
mean? Okay, so I understand the dotted line was on there. We drew the dormers in there last minute to try and, explain like we
What
just
you
want
wanted
to
to
build
do.
a space, yeah, we don't.
No
We plan
problem.
on following every single rule.
Just what we're doing and what Amy's explaining, he wants to make sure everybody understands
Okay.
that the approval's gonna be that no dormers allowed, and that's gonna be on the approval. And just so everybody, even everybody voting up here, that we all understand what we are voting on.
Yes, sir.
So that, there's nothing personally to you or anything else, it's just, questions get risen, and so Amy just wants to make sure everybody understands this is what's gonna happen. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody would like to speak in favor of this application? Anybody like to speak against this application? Hearing none, do you have anything? Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Could you please come up to the microphone? Did not see you. Please pull the microphone down and then state your name and address for the record.
Hello,
Yep, we can hear you.
my name is Margaret Kunz, and my address is 60 Williams Road, and we abut this property on the north side.
Okay.
Now, you have to forgive me, I'm a little nervous here. I want to just start out by saying that we chose a rural area to have horses for quiet, to be away from houses, buildings, and people. I went down to the zoning board last night and looked at the place that's proposed where it's to be built. These people have almost 4 acres to build on, and they have to build it right on the property line, abutting 2 property lines. So it's my first complaint. Why does it have to be there? So having a garage that close to a property line is really an eyesore. It's an eyesore for me and for my other neighbor. Every day we have to look out our windows. I'm planning to build a house in the rear portion of my property, in the middle of the rear portion of the property. And every day we have to look out and see the neighbor's so-called garage on the property line. So it's an eyesore. It takes away from the naturalness of the country setting. And I would think that if you were really needing storage space, you'd want to build it closer to your house to have access to the space. I want to remind the board that I don't believe that they altered the square footage of the area of the foundation. Is that correct? It's the same foundation?
Ma'am, all questions come to me.
It's the same foundation?
I'm sorry?
Is it the same foundation that was there?
No, they're building a new garage.
I'm talking about the house.
Oh, this is not about the house, ma'am, this is about the garage. So
Five
you'll
people-
speak,
Five
excuse me.
people.
Excuse
Five
me.
people lived in this house.
Excuse me, we're talking about the garage, not the house. The house doesn't have nothing to do with
Please,
this.
excuse me, please listen to me. 5 people lived in this house, 2 adults and 3 children, and they never had a problem with storage. It's a big house. The garage they're proposing to build is bigger than my house that I live in. And I have a garage in my house. Why do you need something this big? And of course, it's all going to be on one level. It's huge. It's like another house. Currently, I have horses that are right in that area. And during the construction, my horses were running and panicking because of the noise. Now they have to put up with more of this. I know a lot of people don't care about animals, but I do. So, I've been there for 24 years with my horses out there, and I've never had any problems until the construction went on for remodeling this house. They've already taken down many, many beautiful trees on the property. So now I get to see their whole house. And now they're planning to build a structure right near the property line. How many more trees are you planning to take down to accommodate this house, this building? Can I ask, what is the largest size garage that they're allowed to build without approval? What is the largest size garage they are allowed?
938 square feet.
Well, that's sufficient, in my opinion. Bigger than my house. And what could you be storing in there? How many cars? I know you're saying that it's illegal to live in this garage, but I suspect that that's what's going to happen eventually. You can say all you want that you're not planning to do that. But I think it would be done against the law, and I would have to suffer that. So I'm asking that it be built in a different place and it be smaller. Please. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Amy, you want to?
Sure, I'd like to respond respectfully to Mrs. Kuntz. Just to clarify some logistics regarding this application. The applicant is requesting just under 200 square feet more than they would not need approval for, number one. So they'd be entitled to approximately 1,100 square feet of garage, and they're asking for a total of 1,300. So that's, and it is a special exception, not a variance. Therefore, the threshold for hardship does not exist as for a variance. Number two, anybody is permitted a detached garage be 5 feet from their rear and side property line. So they are locating this in a proper location where it may not be conducive to a neighbor. They are doing what is compliant. Just making note of those two facts for you all. It's located in a proper manner. This is a special exception for approximately less than 200 square feet more garage than would be entitled by right.
Thank you. Is anybody else here to speak against this application? Hearing none, do you have anything further you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing and open up for discussion and possible action by the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to approve this special exception request for 1,300 square foot of garage area to erect a 1,080 square foot detached garage at 1238 Scard Road, as shown on limited property boundary survey, zoning location survey, land of Allison K. Gouveia, 1238 Scard Road, dated 11/2/21, subjected to building height may not exceed 15 feet, and no dormers are permitted. So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Conroy.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Rice.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Shawinski.
Yes to approve.
And Chairman Russick.
Yes, your application's been approved.
Thank you.
The next variance request is 22-004. Variance request for Sabatucci for 3 Westview Drive. Mr. Secretary, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to application number 22-004, Sabatucci, 3 Westview Drive, applicant seeks side yard of 4 feet where 15 feet is required and 15 feet exists to construct a 2-story addition and covered front porch at 3 Westview Drive in an R11 district. Proposal includes 372 square foot, single-story covered front porch and a 396.8 square foot, 2-story addition to southeastern side of dwelling. Representation of proposal by applicant and submitted plans suggest a potential for future accessory apartment at the site. Where accessory apartment is permitted, it must be approved by Planning and Zoning Commission and comply with regulations and requirements. No application has been submitted to date for such to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Therefore, construction of an additional dwelling unit cannot occur. This office suggests a condition of any possible approval to be that no construction or use of the added living space as an accessory apartment may be permitted unless and until application is made and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission for an accessory apartment. We also have a drawing dated, received December 16th, 2021. And then there's another one here, same date, December 16th, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, how you doing?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Justin Sabatucci, and I'm looking to actually purchase this.
Please, your address, sir.
33 Acorn Lane in Bristol, Connecticut.
Okay.
And this is actually my childhood home. My parents purchased this in 1995. And after my father recently passed away in January, my mother and I, we decided to come up with a plan for my wife and I and my son to purchase this home and still take care of mom. So we're looking to stretch out the existing home about 16 feet and to accommodate for a future accessory apartment, for an in-law apartment for her, and given the size of the lot, angle of the house, that's why we're asking for a variance here. The proposed addition would flow with the existing structure of the house. Nothing would be changed on the sides. We're looking at a front porch for aesthetic purposes, to look a little bit better for a two doorway entry. Furthermore, we don't want to take away from the character of the neighborhood either by adding any kind of structure on the side or anything like that. We want it to look pretty congruent with the existing house. And this is just, we could look into single story areas, but that's going to require a specific variance as well. So we decided this specific plan was the most appropriate, and it would, with the 2 stories, it would have a smaller footprint than a single story. And lastly, I do understand that application to Planning and Zoning Commission for an accessory apartment will have to happen, and that's definitely a condition we're willing to follow, pending any approval from you guys.
Okay, thank you. But what I'm seeing, you're looking to add this on, and it's going to be an accessory apartment.
Correct.
And what I'm seeing with this property, though, is you already have an addition off the back,
Correct.
and then multiple outbuildings, and then you want to add some more onto this building.
Correct. So we do have a shed that stores. It's in the very rear of the lot there. Stores lawnmower equipment, all outdoor equipment. There's no living space in there by any means or anything like that. But yeah, the addition is strictly just a living room, and we're looking to kind of have her own space and have our space as well.
Right. Did you look at doing any other possible way of doing this?
Correct, we did. We looked at the other side of the household or going up or anything like that, and it's all going to require a variance as well. It's going to, if we did a single footage or a single story, we'd have to require a variance for the 25%. We'd go over the 25%. So we did look at all avenues, and this is the best format for what we're looking for. And given our situation with the lot and having a smaller lot like that, we have to have that accessory apartment attached to the house. It can't be attached to the garage or anything like that.
Okay. Amy, could you please give us an overview on how, because in my time here, I don't remember, maybe once, and I think we ran into one that was done illegally or something. We don't run into this a lot, with this accessory apartments. Could you give us an overview on how this would work and what we are possibly approving? Because this is going to stay with the property, right?
Whether or not it appears on its face, and I do not have that determination, whether it meets regulations for an accessory apartment, that's to be determined by Planning and Zoning Commission. However, regulations permit an addition be allowed to accommodate an accessory apartment. So therefore, by putting the condition on any potential approval for you all, you're approving the structure. Cannot be outfitted as an accessory apartment until and unless approval is met. So they can have additional living space as just an addition. It's not an accessory apartment until and unless approval is received from the Planning and Zoning. So there, we can't install a kitchen. There's some element of a dwelling unit. The interior cannot be outfitted for an accessory apartment. You can build the walls until and unless the approval is made. It, again, appears on its face. It will meet the requirements, but I haven't seen the full proposal. That's for the Planning and Zoning Commission to determine. Following. But since the order, we had one recently, I believe, perhaps October, very similar, where the folks were looking for an addition to be an accessory apartment, but they had not yet gone to planning and zoning. We conditioned it similarly, and they did in fact go get the approval for the accessory apartment, which both items, the variance and the accessory apartment, follow the land, correct? Not the applicant. So you have to sort of look at this as you're approving an addition, and conditioning that is not to be used in that manner until and unless it follows the next step. So they can have an addition,
Okay.
extra living space. We just can't create the accessory apartment until and unless approval is sought and received.
So your plan is to go to planning and zoning for the accessory apartment, is that?
That is the plan. Obviously, if that does not work out, I'm still taking care of mom. So, if we have to share a kitchen, that's completely fine with us as well.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for the applicant? Anybody on this side? And this is the best you could come up with this plan?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody here to speak against this application? Hearing and seeing none. Do you have anything further you'd like to add?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and open for discussion and possible action by the board.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve variance request for side yard of 4 feet where 15 feet is required and 15 feet exists to construct a 2-story addition at 3 Westview Drive as shown on zoning location survey, showing proposed addition, property of Christine Sabatucci, dated 11/29/2021, and submitted plans rendering received 12/16/21. Subject to no construction of or use of proposal addition as an accessory apartment until application made and approval obtained from Planning and Zoning Commission. Comments from Eric Kruger, Water Sewer Division, dated January 7, 2022. So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Conroy.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Rice.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Sherwinski.
Yes to approve.
And Chairman Russert.
Yes, your application's been approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next application is 22-005, variance request for Admore Builders LLC, 9 Laurelwood Drive. Mr. Secretary, do you have any correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to application 22-005, Admore Builder LLC, 9 Laurelwood Drive, applicant seeks side yard of 14.9 feet where 15 feet exists and 30 feet is required to construct a single-story addition at 9 Laurelwood Drive in an RU40 district. Proposed addition is to the rear of the home and attached garage. Dwelling is orientated diagonally on a pie-shaped lot. Existing dwelling, in parentheses, specifically the attached garage, is 15 feet from side property boundary. Regulations at the time of construction of the new dwelling permitted garages, whether attached or detached, to have a side setback of 5 feet. Current regulations require variance approval for any setback encroachment for any addition, including attached garages. We also have a drawing here, received December 17th, 2021, and then it looks like another one, December 17th, 2021. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Musso, 1201 South Curtis.
Pull the microphone closer to you, be easy.
I don't know.
There you go, so we can hear you.
COVID. David Musso, 1201 South Curtis Street, Wallingford, Connecticut, representing Admore Builders and representing the Kristen and Blair Donwall, who is the owner of the property.
Sure. Explain the application, sir.
We are looking to do an office area. Mr. Donwall is a engineer in a firm. He is back and forth with the COVID, and the house seems to be a little tight to keep working at the kitchen table. So they're looking to, as they do this, they're looking to move the laundry area and to put in a bathroom. And it's going to be a single-story, complying with the lines of the home. So.
Okay, did you look at doing it at any other part of the house that you wouldn't require a variance?
We did. This would be the best solution with how the laundry room would get switched over, where all the plumbing is downstairs, where things would work for the plumbing to not have a long run and not have any type of backups or anything like that.
What is your hardship?
Hardship would be the fact that the gentleman has to go back and forth with this COVID situation where he has to work at home.
So a hardship is usually something to do with the land.
Well, the hardship would be that they are in a zone where it's changed over from when the house was built.
Okay, one thing I see is the pie-shaped piece of property. But you did look at putting it at any other place where you wouldn't need as much of a variance?
We did look at the other side of the house, and like I said, the plumbing is all to that other side to try to get things to work. It just didn't seem to work. The basement just wouldn't be able to take the pipes, so.
Okay. Amy, did the zoning change on this?
The zoning did not change. What changed, as was referenced in staff comments, was in the 70s and early 80s, even an attached garage was allowed to be close. That's all that's encroaching on the setback right now, currently, before the proposed addition. Living space was not allowed to encroach on the setback, and the setback did not change since that time. It was strictly with regard to garages. And then that changed in the 80s so that attached garages have to also comply. Detached maybe 5 feet, but at the time this house was erected, again, only the garage was allowed to encroach, but the zone did not change. It was still an RE40 zone. And the setbacks were the same, just with respect to the garage. So now we have house that is now in the setback,
Right.
living space rather, so it is for
30-foot setback.
correct.
Anybody got any questions for the applicant? I don't know. Karen, Lou? And there's no possible way you could have made this any better?
It didn't seem to work out any other way. We looked at it several times. They just couldn't do it to the left or the right of the home. They just.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this application? Anybody here to speak against this application? Good evening. Please state your name and address for the record.
Dylan Cruz, 15 Laurelwood Drive.
Go ahead.
You'll have to forgive me in advance. I'm a relatively new homeowner. I'm not entirely familiar with this process. Honestly, I haven't reviewed the plans. Since our property abuts 9 on that side, we would like to potentially request some kind of period where, just so that now that we are aware of this, we can review those plans and kind of see how this might impact us. The board has put forth zoning laws for a reason. I'm not entirely sure what the intent of this one is, but I'm sure it's a good one. So we'd like to consider recourse.
Okay, were you notified?
We were, yes. I received a letter in the mail about a week ago, I would say.
Okay.
Yep, this is my way.
Hi, my name's Carolyn Cruz. I live at 15 Laurelwood as well. We actually didn't realize that 9 was abutting us because 13, we're at 15, we didn't know 13, there's no 13 between us, so we just assumed it wasn't neighboring us. So we didn't kind of pursue further until I saw that 9 was right next to us. So I just wanted to, we would have looked at plans is what I'm getting at, if we had known that they were immediately next to us.
Okay, the neighborhood's numbers are crazy, aren't they?
Yes, they are, you're right. There is a driveway in between us,
That goes to the
that
railroad.
goes in between.
Yeah.
We are the ones that are right next door.
Anything further you'd like to add?
Nothing further, just would like to review the plans first before voting on it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else speak in favor or against this application? Hearing none. Do you have anything further you'd like to add? Amy, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I'll just, speaking to the neighbors, the notification process is a legal process, and all the plans and such regarding that are public record. So they were available in the office with the chair's permission. Certainly, it can't hold up a vote because you didn't avail yourself of that. However, with the chair's permission, I have no problem if they'd like to approach staff table and take a peek at the plan.
If you would like to, go ahead. We'll give you a minute. How's that?
So when they get notified, they can come in, take a look at the plan, and see what
I think what he's saying is just that all the plumbing's over here.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, is there enough room? So in other words, then it really isn't a hardship of the land, it's that, you know, putting a crawler across. And I get that, you know. But I was just wondering, I was kind of hoping he would say, no, it doesn't fit over here. Then I'd see more of the.
No, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, where were we? Did we have a second? Because Ray, you made a motion?
I didn't make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. So I close the public hearing, open them for discussion and possible action by the board.
I make a motion to approve variance request for side yard 14 feet 9 inches, where 30 feet is required and 15 feet exist, to construct a single-story addition at 9 Laurelwood Drive as shown on location improvement survey, proposed site plan 9 Laurelwood Drive, dated 11/12/21, and submitted plans rendering received 12/17/21, subject to comments by Eric Kruger, Water and Sewer Division, dated January 7, 2022. So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Conroy.
No to approve.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Rice.
Yes to approve.
Mr. Shawinski.
Yes to approve.
And Chairman Russick.
No.
Application's denied.
Your application's been denied.
Denied?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It didn't carry, so.
What's that?
It didn't carry. You need a supermajority, four out of 5 votes.
4 out of 5?
Five,
Oh,
yes, sir.
Not 3 out of 5? Okay. All right, so we just got to move this to a different location, do you
You
think?
could call and talk to Amy tomorrow.
Okay.
Help you with the next step. So next request is variance request 22-006, variance request for Miraz, I hope I said that correctly, 124 Long Hill Road. Mr. Secretary, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. In regards to application 22-006, 124 Long Hill Road, Miraz. What is it? Marosh.
Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
My bad. Applicant seeks 2 front yard variances of 0 feet and 12 feet where 20 feet is required and 20.6 feet and 9.2 feet exist to construct 2 single-story additions at 124 Long Hill Road in an R15 district. Parcel is a corner lot fronting on Long Hill Road and Southview Drive. Proposal includes an 85-square-foot covered entry requiring a front yard of 12 feet on Long Hill Road, where existing front yard is compliant with 20.6 feet. Second addition is 256 square feet with additional means of access to dwelling, reducing the front yard on the Southview Drive to 0 feet, where 9.2 feet exists and 20 feet is required. This office cannot discern a hardship necessitating reducing a front yard to 0 to construct an addition, especially when compliant options exist to expand to the northwest, in parentheses, rear of dwelling. We also have drawings received December 17th, 2021, and we also have a letter received dated January 14th, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Please
Hi.
state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Robert Marosh. I live at 124 Long Hill Road with my wife and 2 kids. And thank you, first of all, for taking the time to review my application and hear my request. The basis of this request is to build an addition facing Southview to enable a truncated stairway that comes down from the second floor to expand and be like a regular stairway. And if I were to receive this variance, it would allow me to have space once you come down the stairs, and that would also allow easier access in and out of the house. For example, if there were some kind of emergency and someone like from emergency services needed to go upstairs, they could go gurney upstairs and bring somebody down. It would also make moving furniture and boxes easier. It's a convenience, I understand. But I think the original staircase, which went up to an attic in the structure, the way the structure was first built, might not meet code now if it were inspected. So I think it predates that code there for safety. So that's the real basis. And it's also very difficult to come down the stairs, and it's truncated. You have to make a sharp turn left or right when you come down. So it would open up that stairway and make it nicer. The hardships that we face here in this non-conforming lot begin with the location of the house, or the foundation of the house, which predates existing zoning as amended. So since the house is positioned on a corner, I've got 2 front setbacks, and both of these setbacks are about 5 feet inside of the house. That's how much I predate the zoning. So to the house, like in the old days where the farmhouses were closer to the street. That's where this one sits. I looked at the letter that I was sent, and it suggested that I should look at building in the southwest corner of the house. That's not where the stairwell is, but I have to inform you that I did look at relocating that stairwell to the side of the house. But again, I've got some problems with the land there because of the topography. In that back corner, it slopes down to the point where it's a walkout basement in that side in the back, and there's a window there, but the foundation comes right down. The old foundation, the stone foundation, comes doesn't go very deeply into the ground there. So to build anything there would be a little bit risky, and to compound that, we've got some kind of natural water flowing underground. I know this very well because after I bought the house, we got a lot of water in that basement and in that corner, and it hit the building and then would seep through the stone. So I had to have the whole side of the house dug out and a footing drain put down below the foundation. So the land prohibits me, or would make it excessively expensive to put any kind of addition there where I could have a better staircase. Those are the primary reasons why I think literal enforcement of the zoning rules would prevent me from reasonably using the property that I have and putting in this addition. If you take a look at one of the sketches I have, it's from the surveyor's map. I highlighted some of the footprint there. Taking a look at the south view side, where I've got the 22-foot long addition. In the letter I received, it says that I'd be adding an entrance. Actually, I'm shifting an entrance, because if you see in the footprint, if you see the square that comes out in this corner, the existing footprint, that's an entrance into the kitchen. And what I'd like to do is, originally, the idea was just to move this over and make it then wider, so I could line up the stairway, and it would be a nice entrance and an easy entrance, and not something abrupt where there's no flow in the house. So another point that I'd like to emphasize here is, when you look at this addition, this 8 by 22 foot addition, and then there's an 8 foot by 10 foot addition in front of that. That 8 foot by 10 foot addition is actually a landing in front of the door, what would be a new door, a shifted or moved door, and then stairs. So that first part that goes right up and abuts the property line, those are stairs. So depending, the way that I put this together was, assuming that you would be receptive to this, I might not go exactly up to the property line. I'll go close, but I'm not sure how much room I need for those stairs. It's definitely inside that property line, but I won't know until I actually, say, frame something out to see what it would be like. Not permanently, just as a model to give myself some kind of idea what the actual dimensions would be. So with this existing structure, I could even make it even with that, but if I'm going to apply for a variance, I might as well get that extra 15 inches out, because it works out to something like 20 square feet over the 22-foot span, a little bit more. And that would be useful space. Plus, it would enable this kind of a box house. It doesn't have very much character, but it would enable there to be some kind of flow as opposed to a truncated stop, because according to an architect that looked at this, he believed that at some time back in the 20s or maybe 30s, this might have been a shop because of the way the windows are set up and the way there's a separation right in the middle of the house with this stairway. So we've been there for 16, almost 17 years, 16 and a half years, and it's always bothered me. It's always been something that's been uncomfortable for me and for my family. But it would be really nice to finally rectify this. And I don't think I'm asking very much in terms of approaching the property line. And of course, I have rough designs. You saw my really rough sketches there. You know, if I want reasonable usage, I can be reasonable in how to architect this. And then finally, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if anyone is opposed to this, but it doesn't present any hazard or harm or obstruction or inconvenience, as far as I know. And even if you were driving up that side street, Southview, since I already have an existing mudroom built into the side of the house, it would be just like expanding that. So there's not really any kind of optical angle or line of sight that would be cut off. And finally, I think it would improve the value of the other houses in the neighborhood because I've had this house sitting there with, as you can see in the photo, it's, as an unfinished project, half the, well, on that one side, half the siding, waiting to get the courage up to come in and put in a variance application. It's taken me a while. Have you got any questions for me?
So I'm having a hard time with the 0 request on your setback.
Appreciate that, man.
I don't think we've had anybody ever come up here and request a 0. But anyways, I understand that this is predates zoning and it's non-conforming. But normally when we're looking at things, we're looking to not make the non-conformity any worse than it already is. And what I'm seeing, and with the 0, I can't, there's no possible way I could support this.
How close could I come to the line? I could
say-
revise my plan and then submit an amendment to the application.
Well, I think we could ask Amy the statistics on this, but I believe you're going to have to draw up a new drawing. But I wouldn't make the setback any worse than it already is with your mudroom. That would be my opinion of it, but we'd have to see what everybody else does here. Says, and we could talk to Amy. Amy, could you?
You can grant less and specific, but not more, but the other front yard is conforming.
Right, the front is.
Correct. The Long Hill Road is conforming and is requiring a variance to become non-conforming legally. I will leave it to your determination, but you may grant less if you cannot determine a hardship with either of those additions. Then you think you've answered your own question.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to, I cannot state supporting
Well,
what I would support.
no,
It is
no,
your
it's not- no,
determination.
I'm not asking about that. My question is, should we give him the opportunity to continue this and come back with a different drawing?
That is an option available to the board, should you feel that you can receive something that you can find sufficient hardship with and grant. It's an option available to you. Again, it's the board's determination if
Right.
that's the route.
How does everybody feel about this? Because I know for me, myself, I cannot support the 0, and I would really like to see this nonconformity any worse than it already is.
So we're saying that this part is within compliance, the front.
front without the addition is in compliance. So that's my opinion on this. I mean, if we want to give them an opportunity, we can continue this the next month to come back with something that we can possibly, that's the way I feel about it. I don't know about anybody else.
I agree. I agree.
I'll be happy to revise this. What I need to know from you, though, is I know you don't want to perpetuate this nonconformity, but if I am using this model here with an addition and some kind of overhang for rain on a platform or landing, and then 4 steps. You know, I could make the steps curved. I've looked at a number of different designs, but I need to know how.
So I know you said you look towards the rear of the building, and you don't seem too happy with doing that. But the rear of the building, I believe, is your best choice. Just my opinion. And again, like I said, when we look at things like this, again, it's non-conforming, corner lot. We understand the 2 setbacks. But it seems like the rear of your property, you have plenty of room to do what you want.
I would have to actually change the structure, including the load for the house with the stairs, because I did have an architect in there to look at it. And that would make it cost prohibitive. And not to mention the water that comes in on that side and the amount of stone that I'd have to have dropped in to try to redirect that flow. So when I consider this option in the front, which would be very attractive coming down into Southview too, aesthetically, and I'm not doing this for aesthetic purposes or financial purposes. I'm doing this specifically about the stairs. If anything else benefits, that's great. But added, that's a plus. But here, even if I were to shift this mudroom that I have now over, which is already existing at that length, it's like 6 feet and 9 inches off the house. And if I were to expand it in some way, I could make the access to that stairway better, and maybe get rid of the landing and have steps just go straight up to, so I could right off the bat lose 4 feet. But I need some idea from you if you'd be receptive to that, and how much do you want me to cut back? Because I can go and redraw this 4 or 5 different ways. But
Right. Well, I'm more leaning towards, if you wanted to add a staircase on the side of your house, it wouldn't be any wider than what that mudroom is. That'd be my opinion of it, but I'm only one vote. And that's what I'm looking at. I understand that jog is sticking out there already. And to me, if you kept it at that and continued up, and that was the setback that we were looking at, since that is already sticking out, I would be more receptive to something like that than what you have here. I just cannot do a 0.
can you give me a range of what you could do?
I would be happy with that jogger that's already sticking out the side of your house.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, if I may.
Yes.
When we grant a variance, we're granting it for a particular project, so we can't,
I know.
we have to see a proposal.
Well, that was where I was going next. I was just trying to give him an idea of where.
So it's not, we can't negotiate how much because we don't know what it is.
Right, and that's where I was going with this. That's why I was saying I would be okay. My opinion, I would be okay with that jog. I don't know what that measurement is, but that's where I was going next, was I would be okay with that jog if that's as far out as you wanted to come. I don't know what that measurement is, but since it's already there, I would be receptive to something like that, not making it any worse.
Well, how long could it be then? Just that same square area, or could I take that 6 feet 9 inches that come out from the box or the rectangle of the house and extend that? I'm only asking because I'm here now and to have
Right.
another
But
opportunity
this
to ask these questions.
What you need to do is, and that's my opinion, don't come out any further. I don't know how wide you want to make it. That's up to you. You can come and bring a plan in front of us, but that would be my opinion. But I don't know, anybody else got anything they want to add? Bruce, you're the builder.
Yeah, I totally agree that I wouldn't want to see you come out any farther than that or see an entrance facing that side of the road. But I think you should bring a plan back, in my opinion. If you want to put an addition on there that go the whole length of the house and see, bring it in, show it to us. But we can't, like I said, we can't really tell you what to do, but we can make a suggestion that if you want to do your addition, you have to, I would not go for anything that's bigger than the footprint of that mudroom you have now. But if you want to go the whole length of the house, bring it in.
Having run some numbers before, about twice that area shifted is the minimum for making this flow nicely inside to achieve the objective of making that stairway extend, have room to come down and turn.
I know that, actually, I know the layout of your house, so.
You do?
They're all similar.
Oh, God, it's such a,
And it's unfortunate that it was built the way it was.
Is your microphone on?
Is it?
I can hear you.
Yeah, but I talk loud, so everybody can hear me. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's so close to the road, I'm gonna agree with the chairman, I can't support coming out any further than the mudroom is right now.
Okay, so,
This is more of a question for staff, but is there any rule that says that he couldn't come in with multiple drawings and we can approve one of them? I'm just saying because we're kind of going back and forth
You
about
just
what's
need a
acceptable, what's
project.
not.
You need a project, a proposal that matches the request. So if you were to alter, and it's been done before, for example, that size is fine, move it in 1 foot, is something you could amend a motion and reference the plan minus a foot in length. But it has to be exact enough. We're not designing it for somebody, and let's be mindful that there are 2 additions here.
Right, well, we haven't,
And we've added a second story to this home already too, in 2009, I believe. So we're your determination. There's, again, the front on Long Hill is compliant. We're asking for 2 additions. So if you would like a proposal to reflect the south view side and not the other, make that clear so the applicant, or is he only amending 1 addition or is he amending 2? Because it's difficult to find a hardship for 2 additions
I agree.
from a staff standpoint, but it's not my determination.
So my advice, and so we end this, is to we'll continue this the next month, take your plan back, figure out what you can do to not make it any more non-conforming than it already is.
okay, so I do have one last question. It has to do with what Mr. Conroy said about the door. I already have a door that opens here, but with the mudroom, the screen door is on the side. So the exit, or entrance and exit, the door is right here, facing Southview. The goal was to keep it that way and move it over here, or maybe have an I-beam that gives it like a 12-foot span. You said you didn't like having the door facing Southview.
I don't personally. But,
Oh.
it's a design
It's
thing,
not against
so-
any regulation.
Not against a regulation, it's just personally,
Okay.
I don't like.
And then the
I don't
last
wanna
question,
put
the last
words in
question I
it.
have is, before I leave, and I'll see you later, but I know you don't want to have any additional nonconformance, but if I kept it to throwing this out here now, kept it to this 6 feet 9 inches of the mudroom, and then just allowed for stairs,
I'm saying don't.
you're still against that?
Stairs encroach, pardon me,
Yeah.
for my
Yes.
point of order, Mr. Chair, again. Stairs count towards setback.
Count-
18 inches you get. You can project 18 inches, but not and stairs. Move the stairs. They can move. You can come in through the side of an addition, flush, for example. It doesn't have to be directed towards Southview.
Okay.
I would recommend you alter that, and perhaps the board could, but it's not a shape of a stair. Stairs are counting and toward your encroachment, so. And I would recommend, if the board is going to continue this, that the applicant provide me a revised proposal sooner rather than later, so we may provide it to the board, because that will, we do not have to re-notify. The public hearing has been opened, but the project will be modified, so we're going to know exactly, have to know how.
Thank you.
Okay.
The best advice I could give you probably is to get an architect that would come and work with what they know what we would like to do. That probably could get you done a lot quicker than what you're trying to do. Be my advice. And just, like I said, we don't like to see the nonconformity get any worse than it already is.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your consideration.
Can I get I'm going to make a motion that we continue 22-006, 124 Long Hill Road to the February, is it, Amy, what's the date for
February 22nd,
February
2022.
February 22nd meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay.
See you next month. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion that we approve minutes of November 15, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.